Hello. Drew and I would like to thank you for listening to the special Remembrance Day episode honoring the former, current, and future members of our Canadian Armed Forces.
The courageous members of the Army, Navy, and Air Force sacrificed so much to allow us the freedom to be able to do this show, and for you to be able to listen.
In the small way that we can show our respect, we would like to not only thank the members of our military, but all allied forces around the world.
Please join us in paying our respect by listening to the traditional song Last Post, followed by a brief moment of silence. Our show with retired Army infantry members will follow.
What's going on, my dudes? Thanks for hanging out and drinking with two dudes and a mic. I am your host, Mike, and as always, I'm sitting across from my favorite dude, Gus. What do we have going on today?
We've got a couple of retired Army infantry members here.
Yes, sir.
A couple of awesome guests.
We do.
We're going to do a pretty cool Remembrance Day show.
Yes, this is a very special episode for us. In studio, we have two retired Army infantry members, both having done tours in Afghanistan. We have retired Corporal Matt Lupton and retired Master Corporal Simon Azzopard. Guys, welcome, gents, welcome. First thing we do right here off the show up is do some shots. Somebody, Mr. Army Guy, is not going to be doing a shot with us. I'm just going to call you out.
That's fair enough.
So everybody listen. Guys, girls, all the dudes, here we go. Cheers.
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 Oh, yeah. There we go. You guys already cracked early.
Yeah, that's the problem I have.
Cracking early. Is everyone drinking honest lager except me?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some, like, root beer going on. You're calling other people out and you're drinking root beer.
It's 5%, number one.
Yeah.
I did the shot, and it tastes fucking delicious. Have you guys had this stuff?
It's gluten-free.
No.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Have you had this before?
Yeah, my brother drinks it because he's gluten intolerant.
Ah.
I just try to support him in the best way that I can
There you go.
by giving him alcohol that he can drink.
Root beers. Yeah. There you go. Do you have that in your kegerator?
No, actually, it's funny enough. Actually, my wife really, really likes the sparkling pink wine from Peely Island, and I've been seriously considering getting a second tap and having a keg of pink sparkling wine.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Well, it's carbonated, just like beer.
So when you guys were on tour, can you drink?
We did not have kegerators on
No.
tour.
No, but
No, we did not. No.
I mean,
we carried a lot of heavy shit, but we did not carry kegs.
I mean,
is there like a mess or something?
No, not on tour.
No.
It's like there's a 50 cal guy and there's a keg guy.
There's a guy pumping the keg.
we got because we were there over Christmas. We got 2 beers
Yeah.
at Christmas time.
Yeah, we had the same. I had a Christmas tour. Yeah, we had the same thing.
We got 2 beers on Christmas, and my team leader was a cool guy, and he gave me and my fire team partner his 2 beers.
I actually gave mine away too.
You gave yours away?
I gave mine away. Yeah.
No, I drank mine.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
2 beers.
Technically, Afghanistan is a dry country, and bringing beer there, I mean, it's not like socially acceptable.
Yeah, but like in a war, does it really matter?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a respect thing, I guess. But
fair enough. Only the Canadians would do that.
I was actually offered a lot more than 2 beers.
Yeah.
But I was actually in my process of going to Australia for my leave in the middle tour. So I was actually in Kandahar, which I never was. We were never on base.
Yeah,
we were always
same.
outside, like near Massamgar. And I was detailed with protecting some French Canadian, like a Quebecois, like MP or something like that. And she, I think, wanted to get me a little tipsy to, I don't know.
Hey,
but she kept saying, like, that, like, I said, I can get you more beer, yes. And I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks. Just don't do anything stupid. Don't get me in trouble. I want to go to Australia.
That's correct. Oh, so if you got caught with something, they would revoke that?
Oh, we wouldn't get caught, but I had a girlfriend at the time too, and I'm not like that, right? So
no, but I mean, just to drink. You don't have to do anything with her.
Oh, no,
Gus gets me drunk all the time. I don't touch him.
No, I just didn't want to. For me, that wasn't the place, right? Like, I don't want to get hammered and...
I suppose.
Why not?
But see, that's got to be tough, though, because if you are drunk, like, you still have to be kind of, like, at attention, right?
Always got to
be
calm
shot.
ready.
And that's why they limit it to generally 2 beers. And, like, if a couple people get 1 extra, it's not that big a deal. The kind of the idea is that nobody's getting drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, after
just to boost morale.
But you probably have
boosting morale is huge, right?
You have somebody that's on watch, though. There must be.
Oh yeah.
It's not like everyone on base can drink.
No, yeah, it's not like everyone's drinking it. It's like specific groups get like, you're getting your beer call today, and then
back in the World War days, they had rum rations, right? They actually issued rum. So,
but to be fair, if you're in World War I and they're saying, let's run straight at this machine gun, yeah, you're gonna want to be drunk too.
Yeah,
no,
that's fair. That's a good point.
Got to dodge those bullets.
Matrix
style, maybe John Wick style. I don't know.
If I don't remember the exact amount, but rum rations in World War I were pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Like, and before you went over the top, they would give you a good amount. So like,
it's like a liter of rum for everybody.
Basically, you were pretty full up on rum before you went over the top.
I couldn't say I wasn't there. So,
no, I wasn't.
No, you didn't serve in that one.
No, I wasn't there for that one. No, I wasn't around.
I can just imagine like all these drunk guys, both sides are just running, staggering at each other.
Well, the German side it was schnapps.
I totally wish I could have taken part in a war like that, where you actually know who your enemy is. Yeah. Oh well, maybe one day.
What do you mean? Why? Because like you don't see them?
No, the World War days is more like red versus blue.
Oh,
so
yeah,
to speak.
You're fighting a uniformed.
The crap
combatant.
we went to was just like one day.
It could be anybody.
You're like handing out water bottles to a village. The next day you're shooting the guy, and you go, "Hey, I remember that guy yesterday. Taught him how to make Kool-Aid."
And it's not even as easy as saying like, well, he was the Taliban. It's probably just as likely that the Taliban came in and were like, hey, you talked to the Canadians yesterday? We're going to murder your family, or you can pick up a gun and shoot at them.
Really?
It's
intense, man.
It's not everyone
not
assumes,
black and white.
Yeah,
it's great.
Everyone
Everything
assumes it was like a clear cut kind of.
Yeah, like they're wearing a red bandana around their arm. You're like, shoot anybody with a red bandana.
It's not like Red Dawn. We're the Wolverines. No, they didn't want us to know who they were.
Yeah.
They would mix in with the population, and even if, like I said, even if they weren't members of the town, as soon as they saw the town, talking, even it was something as basic as like allowing us to come into the town, they thought they would see it as an offense, right? So then they would follow us in afterwards, and they'd be like, well, we saw you guys being nice to them. So
holy,
what's going on? And
so you're on alert 24/7.
Yes.
Like there's no downtime.
You never, because you never know like who the Taliban is paying, or if they're like a diehard Taliban guy, or at least in my tour, like most of the original diehard Taliban guys, they had been killed by Canadians, Americans, and whatever, and they were importing fighters. They were importing people from other areas.
The Uzbeks and
the Uzbeks and the Chechens, and they were importing people to fight us from other places. Yeah, and you could tell like the beginning of my tour, it was like there was no gunfights. There was only IEDs, and then as it came closer to the end, you started seeing more people shooting. more like stand-up fights, and it's because they had started bringing people in, and also the winter they don't traditionally they don't fight through the winter, or they would just go back and work on farming.
What?
Yeah, and so
Yeah, they don't really fight too much in the winter.
What?
They
Not
shut
as
her right
much.
the fuck down.
Why?
well,
Dude, it's just cold.
just like we said earlier, when it was like
Like
30 degrees during the day and 0 at night.
That's in the winter.
Yeah.
When the spring hits, shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
When you look at all the stats, when all the troops are dying and everything, it's usually in the spring. Springtime hits and they just go full out.
That's when all the actual battles.
You guys always get the morning intel briefs, the white Toyota with the
white
yellow trim.
It's always
Everything's a white Toyota.
When I see a
there's
white Toyota out there, I'll laugh to myself because I'm just like,
there's
IED or VBIED.
There was
vehicle-based
every
improvised
single,
explosive
every
device.
time we got an intel brief, it was always there's only 3 types of cars in Afghanistan. It was white Toyotas with yellow trim. There was blue vans, a Toyota van, or
I don't even know.
it was a blue van.
Yeah.
And there was a white Toyota Hilux.
And
There
the
was
rest-
only the 3.
And the rest were jingle trucks.
And there was then there was
The hell's a jingle truck?
I wish I have a great picture.
I got a photo of it right there. In the photo album I brought for you, there's one there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
I want to see it after.
they
Yeah, I'll
gypsy it all out.
It's-
All these flashy colors. It's like something you couldn't believe. Like you'd think like Church Street in Toronto. Like you don't think like middle of the desert. Like they have access to these things, but they do. Man.
Yeah, just you imagine like
yeah. There you go. He
jingle truck.
just googled it. Yeah,
That's a jingle truck?
yeah.
And not only was it
What the
like
fuck
not
is-
only did they're like dump trucks and semi trucks that have like tassels and frills and like bells, literal bells everywhere.
They were generally harmless though. Not
Yeah,
once did
they
I
didn't-
ever get
they didn't want-
engaged with one of those.
no, they didn't.
This
wanna,
looks like, for people like, because we're not showing this, this looks like a very massive dump truck that's done up for like a parade. It looks
Yeah.
like a something like a
they
float in a
looked like
parade.
floats, but that was their normal. That's why we called them jingle trucks.
Mm-hmm.
But they would stack stuff like way higher than was reasonable on top of these trucks.
Like in
So-
the back?
In the back, like you'd have like bags of grain or whatever.
Twice,
they were
twice the load it's supposed to.
So not
literally,
people,
like,
not people.
Sometimes people, yeah.
I mean, in the city buses. Oh my God, you have a city bus.
No, but I mean, like, that's not a Taliban vehicle.
No, they
That's like citizen vehicle.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just like regular freight for them.
Jesus.
But yeah, the city buses with like cars parked on top of it, and wrapped around with like yellow cord.
See, I
Like
never
that
saw a
yellow
city
nylon
bus.
cord.
We
No?
were more engaged to the outsides. We only have to go through Kandahar to get through those damn golden arches to get back to base
yeah,
the
no,
odd time.
Same. Well,
Yeah.
I spent
Wait,
most of
there's a
mine.
McDonald's out there?
No, yeah, we called them the golden arches, but it
They
was-
were golden arches.
They were like these big
Golden
yellow
arches.
arches over the roadway to get in and out of Kandahar city.
just almost like
Okay.
a welcome to Windsor sign.
Yeah,
you know?
So it's
like
not
it's-
it's not a McDonald's in the middle of the
No,
desert somewhere.
no.
They didn't have
They had a Burger King in the calf though.
that
in
was but
Kandahar.
we brought that with us. That wasn't
Yeah, I
wasn't
know.
Afghans.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so no. Every time you went through the golden arches, that was like a giant.
That-
like you were terrified.
that was
'cause
like
the
you're
Taliban
entering the-
always put bombs in there. So as soon
Really?
as you went past these arches, you knew someone was going to get blown up. It was just a matter of which vehicle. So yeah, it was kind of always a time when you hold your breath when you're driving through.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So your first step off the plane for your first day of your tour, like what's going through your head?
Well, for my tour, mine's a very unique story. If anyone who actually served with me, I was watching this, pretty doubtful. I don't think anyone's around here, but I fucked up on the malaria medicine before tour.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, it's a
Oh,
whole fucking thing, man. So I don't even take Tylenol for headaches. I just don't believe in like taking pills if you don't really need
Right.
to, right? Like if a doc says, "Okay, you're sick, take this," I will. So I just never take anything, right? Like protein and creatine. That's all I've ever taken in my life. So I'm on base, and I was Reg Force. They literally had a PowerPoint presentation with us, and it was like, "Here's how to take your fucking pills, you idiots!" Right? Like, and they're like. And there were like 2 different variations. One was 1 a day, one was once a week, but they made it simple for us because we're infantry. And they said, we're just, ignore that. All of you, take them once a week. That's it. We've highlighted it on your fucking pill bottle. We're like, okay. So right before tour, when you're just about to go over, you get, I don't know, a week or 2 off. So I went back home to Windsor because I was based out of Shallow, Manitoba.
Okay.
So I came back to Windsor with my girlfriend from Manitoba, and we visited the family, had a big party, like a, have a good tour kind of
Yeah.
party. And I'm taking these pills, but I'm taking them once a day. thinking that's what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I wasn't paying attention in the fucking meeting, right? Like in the PowerPoint, because it's an infantry PowerPoint meeting. No one pays attention. So I'm just like, oh, yeah, gotta wake up. Every morning I wake up, my girlfriend would be like, oh, you take your stupid pill? I'm like, yeah, hold on. I take it, and I hate it. I'm like, oh, I hate taking pills, right? So I'm taking them once a day. And then, and then I do that for who knows how many days, maybe 14 days or so home, maybe 7. I can't quite recall because of the pills. But so then I go back early to Shiloh, Manitoba, because my girlfriend's family's there. So now I want to spend time with them, and I also want to hit the gym at the base and everything. So I'm working out, and then a few guys start coming in to the shacks. I was living on base in the shacks, and we start talking. We're like, oh, yeah, you taking your pills every day? And they're like, no, it's once a week, dumbass. And I'm like, no, fuck you. And they're like, fuck you. And we almost got in a fight over it. I'm like, I'll prove you wrong, you motherfuckers. I go to my room, come out with the bottle. I'm like, see? Oh, shit. In a highlighter, yellow highlighter, take once a week. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So most people in this situation would think, uh-oh, something's going to happen to my body.
Right.
No, we're infantry guys. We've been yelled at our entire life. So we're just going, oh, you're going to get in shit because you have less pills than us. Because we heard when you go overseas.
Exactly. They count them, yeah.
See, we heard when you go overseas, they line you up and make you take a pill altogether, like the movie Jarhead or some shit, right? So I'm like, oh, man, yeah, you're right. I'm going to get in so much shit. And they're like, because I felt fine. I was working out every day. I was great. Drinking with the guys. And I'm like, okay, we got to come up with a story. So we came up with a great story. Throw the pill bottle out. Tell them you left it at home. Don't have to give you a new one. We're like, that's a great story. Someone smarter than me came up with that one, right? So I said, that's genius. Yes, that's what we'll do. So we do that. And then literally our last weekend off before we have 1 week of language training, and then we're flying over, right? And we're all excited to go. And we're drinking, and all of a sudden I start feeling a little sick. Feel a little stomach. And the guys are like, well, just drink more. The alcohol will flush your system. It's the infantry way.
That's it. It'll flush everything out.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, cool. And I was never a really big drinker, but I'm like, let's get fucking hammered. So I started drinking. I got to the point where my throat wouldn't even swallow liquid at all. I had like vodka and 7s. It would just go in my mouth and then just pour out. Like my throat was seizing up. It's like, no. And then the next morning, I wake up in the shacks, and to give you an idea, it was like 2006. I sent an MSN Messenger or ICQ. I think it was MSN. I think it was MSN Messenger. And I sent a message to my buddy down the hall, and I'm like, SOS. I'm like, I'm fucked, dude, because he was medic trained, and or field TCC or
TCCC.
TCCC. He was TCCC trained. It's like some field like infantry, but a little bit more medic. He's not the medic, but he's got more than all of us. Yeah. So he shows up about an hour and a half later. And he's like, oh, you're fucked. I'm like, yep. I was seized up. I couldn't move anything. I was shaking. They bring me to the hospital. Long story short, I was supposed to die from some fucking, I don't know, liver, kidney, whatever processes, all that stuff. They flew my dad out from Windsor. They told me, you might want to have your dad come. I go, I'm fucking fine, doc. Just pump my stomach, get this shit out. I got to go do some language training to, fight a war. And, yeah, long story short, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And,
Jesus.
Then I lied to the docs that I was better when I really wasn't. I still remember that exam. He started poking and probing. So this doesn't hurt. And I was like in the most pain ever. I sweat as soon as he touched me. I was like, I'm good. I'm like, I feel you poking me, but no, I'm good. As soon as he left the room, I was in tears crying.
Holy fuck.
So then I got back to training because all my guys are overseas now without me. And that's like the worst feeling ever. And then I got through fitness and PT. I had guys like carrying me on runs and shit. Like, and I'm good with runs.
So you made it after everyone else.
Yeah, a month later.
Like, would they fly you on just a private jet?
Wow, that was fucking... It was weird, dude. It was really weird. We took another flight because eventually...
They put him in someone else's duffel bag.
Yeah. So once
United Airlines.
Once a few guys got lit up over there, they needed replacements. So then I got sent on the first wave of the replacement guys. And then, we just made our way through. And, we were in that top secret base. It was on Google Maps.
I don't think
that was on Google Maps.
We're still not supposed to talk about that. Yeah, the best thing about that top secret base is that whoever named it thought they were so fucking clever because they named it Camp Mirage.
It's true.
No, they didn't.
They did.
Staff that they bust in every day lived in Dubai. They were Dubai local residents who were cooking our food, cleaning our garbages. And we're giving intel briefings like, you don't tell anyone about where you've
Yeah.
been. This is the most secret thing you've ever done in your life. People are going to try and interrogate you, and there's going to be all this cross intelligence training. Did you guys get the
But it's
same
got
briefing?
Yeah, like don't tell. Yeah,
fucking
you don't
4-star
talk
review.
about it.
Yeah,
this
and then
that.
because you're acclimatizing there, right? So
Right.
I was there for maybe, I don't know, 5 days or something. But while I'm there, one of the guys is like, we're in the computer room, which is like, you know those we call them sea cans, but the giant cans
the big
that are on
cargo
trains.
container
Cargo
things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
like ship containers.
Yeah, ship
Yeah.
containers.
Containers,
Yeah, we call them sea cans, right? So we're sitting in there because that's what we use everything for, really. Make little buildings out of them. And one of the guys on Google, and he goes, hey Luppy, check it out. And he types in Camp Mirage under Google Maps. Boom! He's able to zoom in so much so he's like, that's the sea can we're in right now. That's the sea can you're sleeping in. There's the basketball court. There's the kitchen we're going to go eat lunch at. And I'm like, oh, get the fuck out. And it's called Camp Mirage. Like, it was just...
So can I go leave a review right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just be like,
Just
the
put,
facilities are horrendous.
2-star.
put it into Google Maps and like get directions.
The maid did not turn down my bed.
Yeah, if you compare our accommodations to pretty much what other Westerners stay at in Dubai,
Yeah, well, I've been there a bunch of times, man, and like, I love it. I think it's great, but I think your experience is vastly different than mine.
oh my God.
I did get to go to that mall. I went skiing on my 25th birthday in Dubai.
When I landed there, it was 50.
Yeah.
50 and 99% humidity.
Yeah, man, I have it on my phone. I
like,
showed him
oh
a bunch of times. The day I left was like July 5th last year, and it was like 80-something degrees Celsius with like 85% humidity. It said, and if you translate to Fahrenheit, it felt like 172 degrees Fahrenheit.
It was. I've never been hotter.
It's fucking
than
hot.
In that when I got off the plane, I was like, oh, I must be standing behind the jet engine. And then I looked and I'm like, nope, I'm in front of it. That's just the regular wind.
Because you started there in August, right? So
I
you went
started in August, yeah.
That's the dude. Summer in Dubai is not great.
Yeah, I started in August, yeah, and it was hot. Oh my God, I was literally you couldn't even stand still without sweating.
And when were you? Like near the fall winter?
I think I got there about October, and
Yeah.
I left around Valentine's Day, I think.
So it wasn't as bad for you. Humidity subsides around September, October.
It wasn't unbearable. Like
Yeah.
what he would have faced in August or whatever. No, I didn't have that.
It's
5
insane.
days.
No.
5 days
was
is all they give
insane.
you?
Well, it's to yeah. I mean, it's basically just a transfer point where they can collect up a bunch of people and then send them all at once.
Oh, so it's not to acclimate to the heat.
Well, that too.
They say
A little
that's
bit.
what it's for.
It's
yeah.
not.
I
You
mean,
can't 5 days. There's no way.
Well, I
It,
hope
take,
so.
it takes a couple weeks.
So you got to
Especially
remember, we're
since
not
it's
just
been-
wearing like clothes.
That's what I'm
we
saying,
got
it
our
takes a couple
gear,
weeks.
right? Like you got everything. Like it's insane what you carry. So
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. So my partner and I, we weighed everything that we had on us.
okay.
And at the time, I mean, I'm not going to say what I weigh now out of embarrassment, but at the time,
320. 320.
Yeah.
at the time,
You look about 162.
at the time, I weighed 155 pounds,
Okay.
and I was carrying 94 pounds of kit.
That would be like with your rucksack, though,
No.
right? Oh.
That was ammunition, body armor, water, weapon,
Oh, really? Just
Grenades,
your fighting gear. Your
M72.
FFO. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
they were
94 pounds?
Yeah, it was a lot. It's
Jesus
a lot.
Christ.
Yeah.
It's more than half your weight.
It was insane. I can't believe I carried that like on a daily basis and was like, I was like rearing to go.
That's all you know, though. Even
Yeah.
workup training, that's
Yeah.
all you do is haul
You just-
shit
you
every
just-
day.
Yep.
That's your training, just moving
Oh.
shit around.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do?
How
You
much
just
time
walk-
I got? I can go on about training forever, man. It was good though. It was honestly, at the time we just called it they're feeding you the cock is what we always called it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, here comes
Well,
some more
that's-
cock, right? Like that's just an army talk thing.
That's
So-
the thing though. If you
But
train,
it gets you ready.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you train under like the worst circumstances possible, it's why every army base is literally in the worst places possible. There, it's like every army base is either a swamp or a freaking mountain or a mountain with a swamp in it, or it's like
Or a swamp in a mountain.
it's
swamp.
you can't get away from like the shitty conditions in the army, and that's the whole point. Is
I
that
thought they were just trying to hide the women from
Yeah.
us. That's all I thought they were trying to do.
No,
Keep
if,
them safe.
If you train your people, like it's workup training. If you train where it's worse than where you're going, then you're not
Yeah.
gonna complain as much when you get there. It's
No, it's all good. Yeah.
So, do the other branches get the same treatment? Like Air Force?
I don't
Are they,
think so.
No?
Air
not
Force
sleeping in the
definitely
dirt?
not. Air Force
They got
definitely
ice
not.
cream machines
Yeah.
at the
Oh, come on.
cafeterias
I
in
mean,
Air
we're-
Force. I went to Trenton
we're-
once,
we're a bit-
and I was amazed. We had competitions who could make the longest ice cream tower in a cone, and we got kicked out of their kitchen or their mess, sorry, whatever. It's
Now
called.
we're probably okay. I'm going to try to save face for our Navy and Air Force people that we're biased because we were in the Army.
Yeah,
But you know, they I don't know. They do work as hard as we do, just in different
of
ways.
course.
that's a lie. That's just a cold-faced lie. I don't know whose dick you're trying to suck there, but no fucking way do they work as hard as the infantry. No one does.
No one. Well, I mean,
Okay, that's fair.
To be fair, the military is literally everything is layered outwards from the
Everyone
infantry.
does their job.
The infantry.
But if
is,
anyone tries saying they work harder than the infantry, they're fucking
the
lying to
infantry
you.
is the core of the military.
Yeah.
And everything else is
Support.
It's concentric circles around. I mean, the reason we have tanks is to protect the infantry from other tanks, and the reason we have artillery is, you know, to clear shit in front of the infantry, and the reason we have ships is to protect the transports that are getting the infantry to the other
I got
continents.
mad respect for all the other trades. I do. I appreciate them all, but I'm just saying, like, no one eats as much cock as the infantry does. Like, it's chain-fed cock, man. No,
Are we insert Navy joke, or are we taking this
No,
out?
I'm not taking stabs at anyone. No. I got a cousin who's an officer in the Navy right now, so he's doing awesome.
Which are
too.
now sea people.
Yeah,
that
I
what
just
we
recently
changed
heard
it?
about the change.
It's
So it used to be
sailors.
seamen.
Sailors.
It used to be like ordinary seamen and seamen is what their rank was.
and then
Like-
master seaman.
Yeah, and there was a master seaman. That's true. Yeah, but now it's changed.
Now it's sailor.
So there was no first hand or anything, like
I don't know.
or left hand.
I stay the
lieutenant,
fuck
or
away
whatever
from
it is?
boats. No,
So
and hands.
I've
I
got
stay
a-
away from first hands and boats.
You just eat cock. That's all you do.
That's it. Yeah.
I've got a buddy whose mom was in the Navy in like the 70s, 80s, and when she got out, she was an ordinary seaman. And she likes to say that when she got out of... Yeah, I know. It's hard to say. It's probably good. It's probably good that they changed it. I mean, but when she got out, she likes to tell people that she got her discharge of semen papers.
That's gold. Oh, Jesus.
And that's unfortunately for my friends in the Navy. That was my first introduction to the Navy.
But they do work hard though.
Oh, I mean, would you want to live on a boat for 6 months?
Actually, you know what? Gus and I met.
And not
we
even
met
a
a guy
nice
who was
boat.
in the Navy.
It's not like it's a freaking cruise ship.
He said it was like a year at a time.
Yeah,
He'd be gone out to
sometimes,
sea,
yeah.
and he said one time he did what? He said he was gone 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years.
What?
8 years from his
gone,
family.
he was gone 8 years, but he was like for 300 days a year.
He would leave
Did he
for
come back
300
for-
days, come back. He'd be home for like,
Oh.
50, whatever, 65 days, whatever.
What for?
And then leave again 8 fucking times in a row.
Good for him, man.
So like that's tough.
better man than me. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
I'd lose my shit.
I've got a fear of deep water, so I don't ever want to be on a Navy ship.
I'm the
Yeah.
as soon as I can. Even the Peely boat. You know that whatever.
Oh, the ferry.
Yeah, the ferry to go to Peely. I did that once. I was like that guy wearing a life vest on the
The
Peely
whole
Island boat, and
time.
everyone's looking at me like, "The
goes-
fuck is this guy
Goes
doing?" And I'm all like,
1 kilometer an hour.
and I'm like, "Yo, where are the flares at if shit goes down?" And they're like, "Dude, it's the Peely Islander. You'll be fine." They're like, "Just drink." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I can't see land
It's
anymore."
a 10-kilometer journey that takes 7 hours, and he's the one wearing a life vest.
Dude,
It's a terrifying lake, though.
As soon as I
It's
can't
not
see
that
land,
bad.
I just I'm trained highly in swimming and all that jazz, but I'm just no. As soon as I can't see land, give me the fuck, find me some land. I'm a land lover, man.
So is that why you chose Army then?
Well, I just chose Army because I always kind of a childhood dream to be a real life GI Joe. It's
Yeah.
honestly the truth.
Yeah.
That's
honestly,
exactly
GI
the
Joe,
same,
the show, the cartoon, growing up watching it, and the toys and all that. And I had 2 uncles who retired military. One of them was a RSM from the RCR actually, and he's the one who told me to go to Peep CLI. So to give a little, RCR is they're the regiment out of where they Petawawa there.
Petawawa and
they got a
the
second
East
bit-
Coast.
East Coast somewhere.
So you can choose where you go.
Well,
Like where you apply to.
Kinda.
Sometimes.
You can tell them this is what I want to do at the recruiting place.
Okay.
And they'll kind of push you where they need numbers.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I always wanted to
Yeah,
go.
Gus, can you grab me another beer?
For sure.
You want another one?
No, I'm good, thanks. I always wanted to go out to Edmonton. I always had a fascination with it. So I said, hey, I want to go to Edmonton because my uncle, like I said, was one of the top guys at RCR. And he explained it to me because I knew nothing about military growing up, right? Like, we grew up in Windsor.
And for people listening, RCR.
Royal Canadian Regiment.
There you go.
There you
Yeah, see? So I got another term for you.
We'll leave that one silent.
No, that one's that one's offensive to those.
That'll anger a lot of people.
Offensive to those people.
Yeah, but I got so many dark jokes.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
But anyways, he told me they're more regimented. They're more about the shiny shoes, the pressed uniforms, the process, the protocols, the rule. And he goes, "You're definitely not that." He goes,
you would not have fit in.
Oh no, not at all. And I love him for it. And he's passed now, but man, my Uncle Bob was the best, and he gave me the best advice. He goes, "Yeah, you fit great in with the PPCLI, and that's Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry,
Right?"
And that's why I was. And I wanted to go to Edmonton to join the jump company. I wanted to be one of those guys jumping out of planes, right? That's what I wanted to do.
All the time?
Yeah,
I did it once. I was fucking terrified.
That's what you think, right, when you're signing up. So I go to the recruitment place here in Windsor, and I had already had like.
How old were you?
It was 2004. So what's that? You do the math on that one, man.
24,
Yeah, 23, about there, late birthday. So, and they were like, "Oh, due to your training, we want you to go be an MP." And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to rat out soldiers. I want to, because
is that what it is?
Military police.
Well, military police. They wanted me to go be an
No,
MP.
but that's all you do, because it's only for service members.
No,
right?
no, they do other things, but generally they're they're all
in peacetime. MPs, all they do is do regular policing, but on
a base, right? So they're going to be dealing with soldiers, arresting them for stuff. And I was like, yo, 9/11 had just happened while I was in college, and after that, I was just like, man, I just want to go overseas and fight these Taliban, right? That was huge. So when I signed up, I'm like, yeah, I'm going infantry. And they're like, yeah, you have 2 diplomas from college. Like, we don't think infantry's for you. Like, we want you to go be an MP. I'm like, no, thanks. And they're like, well, just put it down. I go, no, I'm pretty sure you do an aptitude test.
Yeah.
And they black out what you can't. And I'm like, dude, just give me a gun. Let me go kill some, Taliban, right? So then they brought an Air Force pilot guy in. And he legitimately quoted Top Gun in my interview. And
Come on.
He's like, don't you want to be like Tom Cruise in Top Gun and just, buzz the tower? And he's like throwing all these quotes, trying to be cool. And I'm like, dude, I've never even been in an airplane, let alone do I think I could fly an airplane. I'm like, I don't know what you see in me. Just put me in the damn infantry already. So then I went infantry. And like the recruiter said, he gave me a cell phone and he goes, here's my cell phone. He goes, memorize it. They might not let you keep paper with you when you're in your training. And he goes, you call me day or night. Anytime. I'll get you out of there within 24 hours and we'll have you in MP training. He goes, I forget at the time, it was like a $10,000 or $20,000, it was like a $20,000 pay raise per year instantly.
Right.
You instantly start at corporal.
Yep.
And there was also like a $10,000 signing bonus or something, right? Which I wasn't getting any of that. Like infantry, you get paid shit. Right, you're not there for money.
You're just the regular pay. There's no specialization.
Oh no, it's like you're like I think cooks get more than us.
But it's a fixed.
No.
It's a fixed scale, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're this classification, this classification, yeah.
But and he wasn't lying, man. When I went through, basic was pretty easy. It was mostly just ironing and folding and learning rank structure and learning how to march. Not till the end of basic training they finally let you even shoot a rifle, and I never shot a gun in my life, so that was cool. But then I went to. What was after basic? We do
soldier qualification.
SQ. Yes, SQ. And I got sent to Wainwright, Alberta. And that's where literally I experienced the worst
oh my God, SQ.
experience of my life. But every night I went to bed before my 3, maybe 4 hour sleep with that guy's phone number running through my head. And I'm like, I could go down to the payphones and call him right now.
So was he Army or was he a different... Did he want you in a different branch for MP?
He wanted me a different branch.
Because it's Air Force usually that's MP, right?
No, it's every...
Is it all of them?
Yeah, I think it's just a general... Anyone from any branch can go. Yeah. But no, I literally thought of that guy in my interview every night of my training where I was like, that's it. Tonight's the night. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I can't do this anymore. Because people think like, oh, go in the infantry. It's easy. No, man. It was like the hardest thing I've done in my life. Like was the training.
Infantry's like general laborer. Like you are like, you're the workhorse.
The whole definition is to like close with and destroy the enemy. That's
right.
It, right? You're there to kill people. That's it. That's your job essentially, right? Like, so when you're doing the training, they put you under really harsh conditions, and it was honestly it prepared me for anything in life though. So tour was nothing compared to my SQ course. Fuck. So
I can imagine, yeah.
But I mean, a little different, right? But no. So it was definitely unique. My path into the Army and stuff, and then of course I didn't get Edmonton. Like they post your grades at a college or something.
Oh no!
They got a list, and you're like, okay, who's going? We all wanted Edmonton because our SQ course was in Shiloh, Manitoba, which is like 20 minutes.
So Edmonton's like the best one to be at. Like
well,
the
that's
best
where
base?
we wanted. Yeah, that's where we wanted. Right? Civilization. They got hockey teams.
Ice cream machines.
They got. I don't know, man. Never been.
Fuck.
So, and then we're in Shiloh, Manitoba, which is like 2 hours away from Winnipeg, And
Okay.
They didn't have a hockey team back then either. 20 minutes from it, like, it's nothing. There's nothing where we were. Nice. And, yeah, fucking, all of a sudden they put a list. There was like 54 of us. 2 got to go to Edmonton for compassion leaves.
Come
Dad
on.
had cancer, pregnant wife, whatever. 52 of us staying in Shiloh, Manitoba. It killed the air, man. But then it ended up, we realized a real important thing in life. You can be in the shittiest place in the world. If you're with good people, it'll be the best time of your life. You could be in the best place in the world. If you're with shit people, it's going to suck. So we made the best of it. I love Shiloh, Manitoba.
And that is the truth of the military. That is why people love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who do go there, they just always look back on it as the best thing they've ever done, because it's the people that you're with. It's bonding through mutual suffering.
So that must get you through then. Like when you guys are on tour, because you guys were gone for months at a time. When you do that, like, do you have internet? Can you touch base with family? Or is it just you and the guys around you and that's it?
Well, I mean,
My tour was 2006, 2007. So I was the second tour in Afghanistan. That's like, we were there early when it was like pretty new. Like,
Right.
A lot of shit was like we were learning as we were going. I think you were a little bit later, Simon?
2008-9.
Yeah, okay. So like on our tour, occasionally you'd get a satellite, like, because we actually set like a record. We forget the number. I think we went like 52 days outside the wire, meaning you're not in Kandahar Air Base, right? Where it's like, you got air conditioned like room to stay in or whatever, and you got like, amenities, food, laundry, shower.
Yeah.
We went like 52 days without a shower, without a change of clothes, without, like, you only brought one other pair of underwear because you thought you were only going to be gone so long, or 2 pairs.
That's ripe.
And you went through those within the first week thinking, we're just going to go back. But every time we were supposed to go back, something would happen. Someone blew something up. The RSM of RCR got killed there. I forget his name now, but he got killed. So then our guys were like, well, you guys go do your ramp ceremony. We'll stay here and do our shit. So we kept passing up our chance to go back to base, to get a shower, to get resupplied, to get whatever, right? So yeah, man, we went like 52 days or something without shower, without change clothes.
But so that's expected though, right? Like you
No,
know
that
that
was not.
But you know
that's
that not going to
outside the
happen?
norm,
No.
What's that?
You didn't train for that could happen? Like that could be a possibility?
No one really like trains you to go, okay, go sit out here and sweat your ass off for 52 days and we're not going to give you a change of clothes and you're going to eat rations. And
generally the norm for people in Afghanistan, most people, they would do day patrols, or maybe generally.
we didn't do that. No.
At least on my patrol, it was like, or my tour. Sorry, it was most often it was like day patrols or maybe week-long patrols, things like that. But it was very, like, even for the battle group elements that were with us, they went out for maybe a week or a couple weeks at a time, but it was never 52 days.
Yeah, no, that was it was intense.
Because I would think that they would want you to clean so bacteria doesn't become an issue and
yeah, it's weird,
make
man.
a whole platoon ill.
You got wet wipes, so you'll take a wet wipe shower,
Yeah,
or
but those- it's
you'll have
just
someone pour a
water.
water bottle. We had lots of water bottles, so you just pour water on you if you need it, whatever.
I
But
guess.
yeah, eventually it's like Wayne's World. Eventually, they become a part of you. It's like
Did you have shit like that? Like, could you watch movies or stuff in your downtime? Or?
Some guys had portable DVD players.
Yeah.
And that's where I was actually one of the first, possibly humans ever. I'm not too sure. I didn't watch Star Wars growing up, right?
Yeah,
I
me
knew
neither.
what the Ewoks were, but I never watched Star Wars. I only saw on Channel 20 the repeat when they blow up the Death Star. That was the only scene I'd ever seen. So one day I was on watch in the Lav, which is like a tank on wheels, and we're at our post, and I'm doing my thing up there and watching through the night vision, the infrared, just looking for enemy movement. And the guys are watching movies in the back on a flip-flop, like DVD player, one of those small ones.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
4 or 5 guys huddled together, joking, smoking, watching this, and then they start talking. They're like, oh, what movie are you going to watch next? Then they start talking about Star Wars, because someone had the set of Star Wars. And they're like, oh, well, let's watch this one. No, this one sucks. That one sucks. And I'm being quiet, and I'm like a movie buff, right?
Yeah.
And they go, Luppy, which one? I'm like, oh, man, I'm like, fuck, because you always know you rip on each other hard in the infantry. And I'm like, oh, they're going to tear me apart if they find out. And I'm like, fuck it. I go, guys, I've never actually seen Star Wars. I don't know. And they're like, what the fuck? And so then they start going, wait a minute. Okay, you're going to watch it from episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to be the first person we know to actually watch 1 through 6, not 4, 5, 6.
Right.
So I watched it, and then they all, like, eventually, like, a week later when I finally got it done or whatever, they're like, so? Like, everyone's, like, intrigued by, like, how my result was. I was like, dude, the first 3 were shit. Like, they were horrible. So, yeah, they were all happy. So
Middle of the show, we have to do another shot. Matt, I understand why you're not drinking, because you have to drive, and that's very responsible of you. So we appreciate it. So here we go. Everyone else, we're drinking grapefruit vodka.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, guys, girls, all the dudes, here we go. Cheers.
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 Ooh.
That was loud. That pierced the ears.
That was.
But in a good way.
So what do you guys normally drink? I mean, you're drinking Honest Lager here, but if you went home right now, reached into your fridge, any beer could just magically appear, what would it be?
the blood of my enemies.
When I texted him for this show and I said, hey, what beer do you want? He's like, the blood of my enemies.
There's a reason we were friends, like from the start.
And have no other friends.
Hey,
I mean,
what's the worst prank that somebody's ever done that you
Prank?
know? Yeah.
Oh my God! So it got disgustingly horrible. And once again, my SQ course, because like we were like living like animals, right? Like no sleep, no proper food. The furthest I saw it go, you see an escalation of a prank war starting between usually one or two guys, or like their group and another group within the group, you know. And it came to an apex in the bathroom in the showers. So you literally got like 2 minutes for 54 guys to shower. Right? They're like, hey, go!
What?
And you're like, what? You're like,
Yeah.
it's another impossible timing. You're not going to make it.
You're never going to
And then when you
make it.
come out in 5 minutes and you're like, wow, we did really fast. And they go, you're 3 minutes too long. Fuck you. And they make you run or make you do something horrible, right? Or they don't
Get
give
your
you
clothes dirty again, so you got to
Yeah.
shower again.
They don't give you lunch. They don't let you eat dinner, whatever it is, right? It's always your fault, right? It's part of the breaking you down and then building you up model that they do, which is actually amazing. But at the time, you
Except
don't
when
realize
they forget
it.
to build you back up.
You just start thinking these people are evil, and this is what the entire army life is going to be
It
like.
is,
Like you
yeah.
stop, you can't think rationally. You can't
because
you
you're
don't
so
see big
tired
picture.
and you're just
Exactly. So when we were rushed to go to the bathroom, these two guys that were having a beef with each other, literally the showers are like it's like 3 walls of shower heads. So there's like maybe 12 shower heads, and you just go rinse, shower quickly, throw a drop of shampoo, and get the hell out, right? And then the next guy comes in or whatever. So there's like maybe 12, 15, 20 of us in there showering, and it came to like the worst I've ever seen in my life. And literally my buddy points out to me, he goes, hey yo, and it was like prison rules, man. Like you always had your back to a wall, and he points, and I'm like, oh shit, this is going down. We literally see a guy shit in his hand, and then
What?
jumps over the guy from behind and
No,
shoves
no.
it right in his face, like right from behind, like right over his mouth and nose area, and just like, and then of course a wrestling match ensued, and then of course we just said, we're the fuck out of here. We got a timing to make. So I'm like, I'm not breaking up 2 naked guys covered in shit.
Holy
So
fuck.
yeah, that was the most disgusting prank, I guess you could call it.
That's
but
way an
worse.
assault.
That's way worse than mine.
yeah. There's
That's not a prank.
There's stories of guys like jizzing in guys' pillows, and then when they don't tell them, and then they're sleeping with like jizz just one layer between the pillow and the like it got pretty fucked up, dude. Like it was like
insane.
it was like the inmates took over the asylum in my
What
training.
the
It was thankfully I avoided quite a bit of it. I still we took part in some stuff, but nothing. Not so. You asked the worst. That's the worst I've seen. I don't think it's going to get worse than that.
So what's
No,
what's
that's
the
pretty
bad, yeah.
Let's change the topic to what's the funniest prank you've ever seen? Maybe that should have been the question.
Tricking some brigade photographer to fire a rifle into the air.
That was honestly, see, to me that was fun. That was like
It was fun.
that wasn't like an evil
It was-
shenanigan. It
it
was
was-
just a fun
It
shenanigan.
was it was innocent.
If you say shenanigans one more time.
You're gonna pistol whip the next guy.
that. I mean, to me that was pretty
Hey
innocent.
Gus, what's the name of that restaurant you like with all that goofy shit on the walls?
Shenanigans?
Oh.
Of course, in
Do you
civilian.
ever do stuff like when you're on tour? Or do you just not fuck with guys?
No,
Because
so
they got to be
No.
pretty unstable as it is.
Yeah.
Like, you're emotionally
No
fucked.
one's
No,
really-
it's
No,
one's
but I
really
mean, like,
unstable.
you're missing home. You're constantly on alert. Like, everything's got to be
You
getting to
still
you.
have some fun. Like there was some razzing and some cool stuff going
Yeah.
on, but generally you got to be combat effective at all times.
Yeah.
'Cause
You don't want
literally,
to mess with someone like that. Yeah.
yeah. So you just kind of like little fun things. Like I mean, I know the one time, like oh my god, to get a totally personal story here, you can maybe edit it later if you want. So obviously back in 06, 07, Pornhub wasn't a thing, right? So literally, some guy would smuggle in porn from his vacation or whatever, and you'd all like rip a page out, and you literally had like one piece of paper,
Like a
from
Playboy?
yeah, or whatever, right?
Which was contraband. You're not allowed to have that.
So allegedly, we would have it. And you have no privacy. Like, we were up like in Massamgar, like a mountain we overtook, right? Like, it's just literally a mountain. Eventually, they put in a couple porta potties, like porta johns, you know. So that would be where you'd go and do your business, right? So the one time I go down and the lock was broken on the one porta john door, but it's like, who fucking cares? It's hot as shit anyway. So you go and you're doing your business, and these engineers who they were more set on the mountain. They didn't really go outside of that mountain too much. They didn't, for their job, they didn't need to. And we were just literally, that was like a staging area. We'd go and then we'd go get in a battle, come back, go patrol, come back, right? So I'm doing my thing, and this engineer just opens the door and he looks at me like, kind of like almost disgusted or in shock, and I'm like, hey buddy, I'm a little busy here, you mind just closing the fucking door? Like, just little things like that you would never do in human society anywhere else, but like in the middle of a desert when you're like, dude, I'm probably gonna fucking die, like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
Jesus.
So it's a different place, man. It's
that's the part of like going overseas that most people you don't really think about.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like,
very open and very talkative about this shit, so I don't care. I got no shame. You've got to
take care of your biological needs, and it's just like, there's a porta john, there's like a secret spot, like whatever, and that's you take
a
care
half
of it.
ripped out page of a Playboy.
That's like
Because
it's
you want to hear another hilarious story involving that?
Yes.
Okay, so
of course I do.
Another fucking hilarious story. So once again at Massamgar, the one tent actually had like 2 cots, so you put 2 cots in this like little mini tent, right? And you're like, oh my god, I actually get sleep. So you take rotations of who actually got to use that instead of like sleeping on rocks or mud or whatever, right?
Right.
So I'm racked out in there, and then I'm having the most vivid dream of my life that my girlfriend from back home is literally riding me. But it's like, I know I'm in Afghanistan, but I'm like imagining she's in the tent with me on top of me.
That's the malaria medicine,
right?
It gave you insane dreams.
Oh, it's
really?
the most
insane
vivid
sex dreams.
Most vivid dream I've had in my life. Like, she was literally on top of me in my head. Like, I'm like, I know I'm in Afghanistan. I know I'm in this tent. I know I'm in my sleeping bag. But my girlfriend is literally on top of me, right? So as I'm waking up is, of course, as I'm fucking busting a nut, and I'm like, oh, fuck me. I'm like, god damn it. I'm like, stupid malaria meds. And then I'm just like, well, now what the fuck do I do, right? So I sneak out of the tent. I'm like, grab a couple wet wipes and a bottle of water, because we ain't got no change of clothes. This is This is in that cycle of 52 days there. So, and I'm just like, well, fucking, you can't find anywhere private. Everywhere's got a security you got guys watching through like infrared night vision, like shit, watching every angle, right? So I'm trying to find a spot that's not being watched. I feel like I'm breaking into something, right? And I'm like trying to wash my pants while I'm wearing them, because I have no other pants to wear, and I'm trying to get them clean without making them too wet or messed up, right? So I'm like doing my best. I'm like, whatever. I go back to bed. I'm like, I ain't saying shit to anyone about this, right? That morning, we go out to the front of Massamgar there, and it kind of faced the 2 villages there, and the one village with the couple, right in Panjway there, yeah. And so we're there, and this like Texan guy with a bomb dog is with us, right? And he's the coolest dude I'd met overseas. He's like, hey boys, how y'all doing today? We're all like, oh fuck, this guy's right out of a comic book. We're like, this is great. This is gonna be a fun day. And he's telling us about his dog, and his dog's like great, smells bombs, guns, stuff like that, jizz. Right? Well, then we go to I'm like, well, can I take a picture with your dog? Like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, I took a few pictures. He's like, yeah, go on. Yeah, no, he won't do nothing like that. And then, so I stand next to my one buddy, Alex, and then the dog's between us, and the dog would not get his head out of my nuts. Like, was just, and I'm like, dude, can you get your dog to stop? I had forgotten about the dream.
Oh,
I'd forgotten now. I'm in, like, operating mode, right? Like, I'm working, and I just totally forgot about it. And I'm like, dude, can you get your dog off my fucking nuts, like, for a picture? Like, holy shit. He's like, y'all ain't got no bombs in there, have you? And I'm like, no. He's like, oh, the other thing, you jerked off recently? Because he smells that too. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this dog's going to eat my nuts. So, yeah, the bomb dog kind of ruined it, and then I had to tell everyone what happened, and we had a good laugh.
Okay, but what I want to know is, why did that guy train his dog to smell cum?
I don't know.
Why is that a thing? Is
Yeah.
that like a defense mechanism or something?
You'll have to track him down wherever he... Although I think the dog got blown up, though, but yeah, you'll have to track him down, man. I don't know.
That's the
Who trains him for that?
Maybe that's just his thing.
How do you train him for that? Like, you'd have to jerk off a lot to be able to train him to
I don't know.
smell
it's a dog,
that.
Right?
Fucking hell.
I don't know, but yeah, so...
Is that why your dog's always on my nuts? Sorry. Sorry. So you were saying, though, like no privacy and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What's base life like when you're deployed? What is it like? I have no picture in my head of what it would look like. Like sleeping, where do you sleep?
It really varies based on where you were deployed and how you were like what organization you were part of. Like
Yeah, so to clarify, we haven't even mentioned that to start. So my tour was 607. I was infantry. We were doing like patrols where you're going through random villages. Some are good, some might be bad. Taliban have been spotted, so you're going. We've done soft knocks where you're going to hand out water and pencils. A lot of these people, they ask for pencils. It's the craziest. Kids just want pencils. They'll make a pencil sign. They'll go like that. They want you to give them pencils and pens. It's just what they want.
It's just not. It's
kind of
a thing they can get regularly, and a lot of the kids actually were legitimately excited to go to school. And
but they weren't allowed.
They needed school supplies.
So
especially the girls.
So that was like my tour, right? Like infantry was doing that stuff, and then of course you got your raids where you're going kicking indoors, you're engaging the Taliban, stuff like that.
Based
and of course,
on intelligence.
then of course you got just while you're out on a mobile patrol or a foot patrol, they engage you and you get in a combat. You get in your tech or whatever we call it. So that's like what my tour. You did something really cool though. You weren't with the infantry. You did something else, didn't you?
No, I mean I got deployed with
CIMIC. CIMIC,
which is the Civilian and Military Cooperation. I was deployed as close protection for CIMIC operators, and what we did was that because we were a couple of years into the conflict, we were there to engage the local populace to essentially try to get them on our side, and if we couldn't, we were gathering as much intelligence as we could. So, for example, we would go into a village and we would tell them we want to do a project in their town. Let's say build a road or build a well or whatever we were doing. And as part of that project, we would employ the local men, because women, obviously, in Afghanistan, women weren't allowed to work. And so we'd employ the local men. And a part of this is that we're giving money to the town. So we're making the town better. Two, we're giving them money, so now they're less likely to take money from the Taliban to do things to harm us. We're trying to take unwitting fighters away from the Taliban. And the third thing is that we gather intelligence, because when you say, well, how many men between the ages of 16 and 50 do you have in this town who can work on our project? And we gather this information on how many potential Taliban fighters there are in this town, and that was kind of a large part of our job. So we went almost every day meeting with local leaders and going out and meeting with townsfolk and and
did you have translators? Like, how do you communicate?
Yes, we did. We did actually. We had a couple of set translators that were with us, and it was not uncommon for our interpreters to quit suddenly because the Taliban would find out who their family was, would threaten them, or they would worry about, right? So they worked so hard for us, and they took so much. I mean, they had the same risk as we did for dying from IEDs or being shot at or whatever, but they had the extra risk of this was their country, and these guys could literally track their family down and find out where they lived, find out where their family lived. And I give all the credit in the world to my interpreters that
and they don't have the training near the training you guys had. They don't have any of that.
They didn't carry firearms.
Right.
So they're literally, they count on us to defend them, and on top of that, they're so vulnerable, and they were,
which is an added risk
Keep in
for
mind,
you.
on our tour, we did arrest a couple of the interpreters. We called them Terps because they were giving our location to Taliban. We were getting sniped off. So.
But that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not like them helping you. They're fucking you at that point.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like everything over there, right?
Jesus Christ, you can't fucking trust anybody.
No, you trust them one day, and the next day they're getting you killed. So it's
fuck.
It's kind of careful.
Actually, I credit one of my interpreters. He definitely saved my life the one day. Because I was crossing a bridge. He was telling, he's like, they're saying there's a bomb on the bridge. So I'm like making my way across the bridge, and I got to the other side of the bridge, and there was a guy maybe just like 5 steps behind me who also made it across the bridge. And we set up, and we're like, we were covering the other side because they have to be close to detonate a bomb. And no, thankfully no one else crossed the bridge. And we brought in the engineers. They actually disabled it before it was They didn't bother. They didn't end up setting it off because there was no one on it.
Imagine being the guy that has to go up to the bomb and disable it, though.
Yeah.
Knowing that they could blow it at any moment.
Those guys were, I mean, holy shit. The stuff that they went through, they were... I mean, as much as we were outside the wire every single day doing patrols and stuff,
Yeah.
their job was to actually go out and seek out the thing that was actively... Like, on the tour that I was on, I've been told anyway that it was the most deadly tour for Canadians, and not a single person that I know of was shot with bullets and died. Everyone who was on my tour who died was killed by IEDs. These guys were out there every single day just like clearing these things because they were planting so many of them, and it got to the point where they were planting it's like, you ever see the movie The Great Escape? Where they're digging these crazy tunnels. These guys were literally digging these crazy tunnels under the roads and putting so much explosives under the road that they would take a 20-ton armored vehicle, fire it into the air, turn it upside down, and then it would end up like
Jesus,
50 meters from where it started. And that's how much explosive they were putting into the road. So it was like, I mean, the vehicle that I drove in was called the RG-31. It was supposed to be hardened against mine strikes from underneath. It was designed for
South African vehicle.
So it wasn't a white Toyota.
No,
Yellow trim.
thankfully. So I mean, even with this, like the V-shaped hull that would protect it from mine strikes underneath, they were putting so much explosives under the road that it didn't matter what you did. If you went over the bomb that time, everyone inside was dead. It didn't matter. Like it was crazy.
That was probably the most stressful thing on my tour. That was the stressful
thing. You're driving on the roads.
I was a driver half-time. Like, I was the backup driver for my section. I hated it, and they just come training. They went gunner, crew commander, driver, gunner, crew, and I happened to be that guy in line, and I'm like, oh god, I don't want to be a driver. And I did all the driver training, which was super cool. I had like a special forces guy come teach us like some crazy aggressive driving. The guy was crazy, loved it. But overseas, that was the most stressful thing for me. It wasn't the foot patrols. It wasn't the walking through the sand, not knowing if an ID is going to take my leg or my life. Not the random gunfire we took, or the RPGs, rock-propelled grenades. Not that. It was honestly when I drove.
Yeah.
So I would only drive when our regular driver was either gone for... Because halfway through a tour, you get to go on a vacation. Like, they give you a break. That's like roughly 2 to 3 weeks. So when he was gone for that 2 to 3 weeks, I was the driver. And I hated it because I like being a dismount. I like having the gun.
It's the same for me.
I like going through doors. I like being on foot, right?
It makes you feel like you're in control.
When you're a driver, you're driving that vehicle. And it's a hatch. It's closed. It's a tank on wheels, essentially. The LAV-3, right? Light Armored Vehicle 3. And you got your hatch. You got your little internal mics. And your crew commander is giving you every navigation. Day driving, not so bad, right? Night driving, you're looking on these shitty just night vision screens that don't work half the time, and you can't see anything from smoke. So all you see is a trail ahead of you, and you're just trying to follow that trail, right? And you gain a almost like probably what you and Gus got, like just lingo with each other, like certain words, like a nudge. I know a nudge means this much. Well, then when I get a different crew commander because he's gone, a nudge means more. Right. And then we're arguing. I'm like, no, you said a nudge. He's like, yeah, a nudge. I'm like, what? Or a light turn. I'm like, that was a light turn. But so that was the hardest for me, was driving the vehicle, because you're the guy driving, right? And we were always the lead vehicle of our section. Our sergeant flew the Jolly Roger, like the pirate ship flag, the black skull and crossbones. Yeah. He flew that above our LAV.
Yeah, they banned those on our tour.
See? Yeah, and we were warned, we were picking up intel that they want to blow up the LAV with the flag. And I'm like, yo, Sarge, can we take that down? I got to drive this week. And he's like, no. I'm like, oh, fuck, we're going to die. But he'd play a game it started off, it was cruel. It just got me, oh my God. But that eventually became fun. Was you'd be driving, and what the Taliban would do, they'd plant a bomb, but what they do is they'd have to have a marker so they knew when to ignite it, like whether it was a cell phone or a switch, right? Because you can call it in on a cell phone and it'll blow it up.
Right. But there's a time delay,
or
so
if they're
they
far
have
enough
to have a marker to see where it is.
They know as soon as you pass that giant green tree, that's when you're going to go, right? So I'd be driving, and my Sarge, he'd be like, hey, Luppy. I'm like, yeah? And he's like, hey, you see that... I don't know. You see that broken down red car or whatever? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's a good marker, eh? I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm thinking, okay, does he want me to avoid it? What's he want me to do? And we're the lead vehicle. He's like, we could die now. And and I'd shit my pants every time, right? I'm like, your heart just stops when you pass it because you're waiting for that boom, and it never happened. I was very lucky that when I was driving, I never went over an ID. Well, a couple times I had, but they hadn't detonated, and then it was a second or third vehicle that it got hit, like in our. So I've driven over IEDs.
But
and other vehicles got hit. Not
so
me.
What it was?
We were the same.
It was the like delay, basically.
Not necessarily delay. It could have been just your tire didn't put enough weight down on it, because some of them are just pressure too.
Oh, okay,
There's all kinds of different bombs, right? So it's just when it's your day, it's your day. That's something you learn real quick. We
were so, I don't know if you want to call it fortunate or not fortunate, but for our team that was out, it happened probably a dozen times. We were either too late or too early for something to happen, and it was either we were planning, we were on our way to a place and something happened in that place, or we were on our way back from there and something happened. It was never right when we were there. It was always just before or after, and it was nerve-wracking because we're so close every single time, but it's never us.
It's just fucking luck.
Like I don't want to go too down the somber road on this, because the whole point of the show is to kind of like talk to you guys, hear about your stories, honor you guys, and honor the service. But when that would happen, you drive over it, next car drives over it, and the third car drives over, and the third car blows up. Do you guys take that like it's on you?
No, not at all.
Do you feel like
no?
Fuck.
And you know what? They train us so good, and they do a lot of the psychological training ahead of tour too, and get you ready for that.
I'll do
stuff,
another one,
right?
guys.
So no, they prepare you for all that, man. Like, I've seen buddies die, and it's part of war, man. And they're heroes for doing it, right? So it's your job to keep going on, right? So when that other vehicle gets hit, I'm not going to go into tactics or anything.
Yeah, no,
because
no.
it's still technically,
of course.
I don't want to give anything.
Well, there's
away.
active operations, right?
Oh, well, who knows, right? But well beyond my days now.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give too many tactics away. But there's different things. Sometimes you'll stop and you'll have to engage an enemy, right? Or you'll have to go retrieve your buddies if the vehicle's broken down. Well, you got to get them out of there, right? You're not just going to leave them there. So there's all kinds of different things you do depending on what kind of attack you just faced, right? So sometimes small arms fire would follow, like they'd blow up a vehicle and then they.
So what do you mean small arms? Like
handheld
like guns?
Like AK-47. AK-47s.
Yeah, regular guns.
Yeah, for them, AK is...
Nothing mounted, nothing...
No, usually it was the AK. Usually was their weapon of choice.
Did they have a lot of that shit? Like
tons.
Mounted guns
Tons.
and stuff? Yeah?
Oh,
Where are they getting all this?
Not necessarily mounted. They put an AK on a truck every once in a while.
Well,
but
they had, at least...
all from the Russian wars.
I was going to say, how did they get so much explosive they could lift a 20-ton truck?
The old unexploded Russian ordnances, they call them.
By my tour, that was all gone, and it was all homemade explosives.
Oh, okay.
It was all, like, these big yellow jugs. It was like...
the yellow jugs. Oh, fuck yeah.
You go to the store
chlorine,
to
like
get
a chlorine.
A jug,
oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
Except it's like the taller version of that jug. Right? So those yellow chlorine jugs that you get, but it was basically double the height. And they would fill those with whatever mixture they would use to make homemade high explosive. And that's what they would bury in the road.
Insane.
So you imagine how big that is. And they would have to pack 20, 30, 40 of them under the road to work. We even got told on our tour, like, they're running out of real, like, Russian-made explosives, so you're going to see jugs. And those jugs in Afghanistan were ubiquitous.
They're everywhere.
They were everywhere.
Is it just as deadly?
People used them for water. Well, homemade explosives are just as deadly in higher quantities. It's not the same as Semtex or C4 or whatever. So, but in the quantities they were using them in, it was just as deadly.
Yeah. But more visible, harder to hide that.
Right, but that's just why they started digging them in tunnels under the
roads. Oh, fuck.
And that entire country is a giant tunnel system, by the way.
Is it really?
Oh
my God.
They would just dig everywhere, and it's so dry, and they were able to just dig everything everywhere.
Fucking hell.
And because when it does rain, because the soil is so dry, it just runs over the top of the land, right? It doesn't sink in like it does here. So they would have these ditches they call wadis, and they would run all over the place. When they ran across a road, they would have these big giant like drains under the roads, and that was their primary way of putting bombs under the road, because it's super easy. You just go in there, you put them in. So we started watching the culverts. We started putting steel grates on the culverts, and they started figuring out ways around them. It was a typical arms race sort of thing, where we come up with a solution, they come up with a better method, and then we come up with a counter. They counter it accordingly.
Jesus, it's like prisoner and guard.
We would cut off their supply of whatever, and then they would find an alternate supply, or they would find a different material that worked. With what they had, they did the best they could, and they did a good job. They held up the Canadian, British, and American armies for 12 years.
And the Russians before them, and who knows,
and the Russians, right? Well, you were asking about Russian surplus, so I've got a great story about the local police department in Panjwai, where I was working. So these guys, they had a Canadian MP team attached to them to teach them how to be real police officers, and teach them basic things like don't extort the local populace for bribe money. Things like that, right? Which you laugh at and you think like, haha, it's funny but that is literally the system of government in Afghanistan. They don't pay taxes; they pay bribes to the next guy up the chain, and that is literally how all of Afghanistan worked up until they tried to instate a Western style democracy there. And that's just the way their society works. So we're trying to teach these police officers Western policing. You don't take bribes. You don't take... So anyways, that's besides the point. So these police officers, they somehow got their hands on a buried cache of Russian weapons. We don't know where it was because they wouldn't tell us. We didn't know how they were getting them, where they were getting them, if they were paying for them. But anyways... Over the 9 months I was in Afghanistan, every couple of months these guys would come out with better and better weapons. It started out with AKs, which the government or us gave them. Then all of a sudden, all of their trucks, they had these Ford Rangers with little pintle mounts on the back. And then we gave them little Russian, it was like a Russian light machine gun, the PMK, the Russian light machine gun. So then all of a sudden, about halfway through tour, all of them had Russian heavy 12.8 millimeter machine guns. All of them. And we're like, where the hell did they get 8 Russian 50 cal machine guns? Yeah. No idea. All of a sudden, a couple weeks later, a couple of them no longer had the machine guns, and they had Russian automatic grenade launchers. We're like, where the hell did they get these? A couple weeks later, there was a couple of them with... anti-tank, recoilless rifles mounted on the backs of their Ford Rangers.
Dude, it's like the Resident Evil, the guy with the trench coat. What are you having?
It was so weird, and
we're just leveling up.
We're asking them, and the MPs are like, "Where are you getting these guns?" And they're like, "We can't tell you." So once they started getting anti-tank weapons, the MPs were like, we're just gonna take these away from you," because it was not uncommon for the police to also get bribed or blackmailed by the Taliban, right?
What less in your tour than our tour was a shit show.
Yeah.
We were still being we were getting shot at between the Afghan National Police, the ANP, and the Afghan National Army. We didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
We didn't, honestly, it was the Wild West.
They would steal uniforms. They would so it was still not uncommon for them to do the same thing. So the MPs took away their recoilless rifles, and then right at the end of my tour, we go into their little police station, and there's a Ford Ranger, and I swear to God that there is a twin-barreled 20 millimeter anti-aircraft gun stuck in the back of a Ford Ranger. It's sitting on...
and we're the only ones with planes.
It's sitting on cinder blocks.
The Taliban didn't have planes at this point.
It's sitting on cinder blocks, and this is not like an automated gun or anything. This is one that you've got to use with cranks. Like hand cranks manually. So we're like, well, we're not even we don't know where they got it from, how they put it in the truck. The thing is massive. It filled up the entire bed of the Ford Ranger, and we watched them go on patrol with this thing. And the Afghan police officer who's sitting in the seat on this, because it's got a seat in this gun.
Right.
He's sitting in the seat of this 20 millimeter autocannon thing, and he's trying to point at cars that are around them. which is like what we did because we're trying to, you aim to the potential threats.
Right.
So this guy's trying to follow our advice, do the same thing, but he's like cranking wildly, trying to get this gun aimed at stuff, and we're like, what the hell? And it had
Not the same training.
No.
We tried to give them body armor, like with the same as we wore, with like Kevlar and plates and stuff. And they're like, this stuff's heavy and it's hot. We're not going to wear this. and we're like, well, it's going to protect you from bullets. And they're like, is it really though? And we're like, yeah, it's going to totally protect you from bullets. You should wear it because it's good for you. And they're like, no, we're not going to wear it. Like, we'll prove, like, it's not going to stop bullets. And they're like, just wear it. So they take the body armor and they bring it over to the wall and they hang it on the wall. And a guy comes back and literally dumps an entire magazine of AK full auto
7.62
at this body armor, which, I mean, from 10 meters away, which is obviously shredded.
Yeah.
And he brings it back and he's like, see, it doesn't stop bullets. We're not wearing it.
Oh
You
my
lied
God.
to him, though. Yeah,
He's
that's
like,
a lie.
It's not going to stop bullets. We're not going to wear it.
Oh. You know what, though? I'm kind of with him on that, though. If we would have had a choice, I probably wouldn't have worn... A lot of us wouldn't have worn the armor. Just because... yeah.
Hot and heavy.
Not only that, the odds of, like... Dude, if you're going to get hit, you're getting hit, right? And wasn't too often we got small arms fire.
It was most often IEDs and stuff like that.
We still got quite a bit of... Like, I remember my first time ever hearing a shot fired at me. It was, like, one of the coolest things ever. Like, I say coolest because I survived. Like I said, you'll hear people talk of PTSD. I have the opposite. I enjoyed my tour. I liked what I did. Like, I worked hard in training, and the training got you ready, and then you went and did it, and you're doing it in real life. And at the time, I really believed in everything, and I'm like, yeah, we're making a difference. I mean, now that I'm older, I can reflect back. I realize war just kind of seems stupid, really. Like, really?
Yeah.
We got to all shoot at each other like us middlemen when really just get shit done other ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so... Now, the first time I'm there, I was probably there, I don't know, maybe a week or two. And Fob Zed wasn't there on your tour, I don't believe. Just in front of Massamgar there, the big mountain. We had Fob Zed. Anyways, it's like Fob is a forward operating base. So there's this little forward operating base, size of half a football field. Not a stadium, half a football field, right?
Okay.
So it's not that big.
Right.
And we just built up these, they called it HESCO. I don't know what else to explain it, but like this metal meshing and then this like material, and we just filled it with sand. So it kind of made a blast wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like
So we made this giant square diamond, depending where you stood, and we stuck a lav in each corner. So we had 360 degrees of security, right? And then that was kind of a forward operating base. You would go there and get ready to move to the next place, right? Hence the clever term, right? So we're there. Of course, the bathroom is outside the HESCO for some reason. So you got to go like outside the access point. And
you got to put on all your shit.
Literally just like one of those white buckets you buy from like Home Depot, Canadian Tire, you know, like you put like rainwater or just whatever in, it's like maybe 2 feet tall. That was our shitter, right? We had a little bit of garbage bags with like pikes for privacy pent around it. So I had to go and I'm like, I got to go to the washroom. So I'm sitting on the pail, right? We had a little seat we made on top of it. So I'm sitting there just doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I hear like a very distinct, like a sting. And I'm like, the fuck was that? I'm like, I never heard incoming small arms fire before. I never heard it, right? Like you hear it in training when you're shooting, but they don't, I don't get shot at on a range, right? So maybe something to look into. But and I'm like, probably nothing, whatever, right? Hearing things. Okay, cool. Because it's a lot. When you're first overseas, it's a lot to take in. Like it's like the environment, the adrenaline rush of holy fuck, I'm here. I'm at war, man. This is like what I wanted. This is everything. Like there's a lot going on, And so I'm still doing my business. A couple minutes later, not even, all of a sudden I hear ding, ding, like a psst, and then a ding because it's hitting the HESCO behind me, and I'm like, no, that was definitely something. Okay, I'm not imagining that. And there was a lav guy like up on top of the lav, just hanging out watching the arcs. Arcs are like just you're watching for any enemy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I forget who it was. I call up. I'm like, hey man, you getting anything up there? I think I just heard some stuff. He's like, no, I didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, sting, and it hit the lav. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, we're under attack, dude. I'm like, fuck. And he looks at me and I look at
So
him
you're
like
currently pants down.
and, oh yeah, pants down around the knees, and I'm on this bucket, and he's up in this lav, like way up high, like a little bit of waist too. He's not like over my shoulder. He's like 20 meters down or so, and I'm all like, it's like, well, fuck, dude, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. We didn't train for this. Like, the Canadian government did not tell me this exercise. When you get shot at mid shit, what do you do? Right? No one told me. No one told me, man. And like, they're supposed to prepare you for everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, fuck, no, I gotta go, man. So you just stop.
Yeah.
Get the fuck back into the safer place that's covered in like safe material you won't get shot at, and then of course the lav just picks them up with their camera system and their Canon, that 20 mic cannon, and just thump 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 thump.
Yeah.
And then no more small arms fired. But
Holy.
yeah, man, that was the first time I got shot at. It was pretty wild. It was like I said, it was kind of like not what you expect. You go to war, you think small arm fire is going to be like in the movies, and it's going to be like some guy turns to you and pulls a gun out and all of a sudden starts shooting at you, and you're going to get like a John McClane firefight, right?
Right.
Nakatomi Towers. And,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to see the guy. No, it was some guy taking pot shots from who the fuck knows where. And, yeah, 2 or 3, and then finally hit one on the lab and made us go, oh, yeah, no, okay, we're being shot at. Yeah, that's what that is. So I'll always remember that sound, though. Like, I'll never forget. If I ever hear that sound again, I'll go, oh, yeah, I know that sound.
Hopefully you're not shitting the next
No,
time. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Oh, my
but
God, could you imagine? Like, how are they getting me? No, but yeah, so it's kind
I
of
can't even imagine, man.
Yeah.
It's
That's something you take for granted, is just going to the bathroom and not getting shot at.
That's
I can say I've never been shot at while in the bathroom.
that's like
Well, technically you weren't in a washroom either. You were in a fence of garbage bags.
that's
there was nowhere, no sink, nowhere to wash your hands. No, it was.
That's something that you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and you're walking to the porta-john, and you're like, is this the night that the guy from the Taliban slips over the wall and is going to try to slit my throat?
See, I never had that thought.
Literally,
I wasn't that.
literally every
I didn't
night.
have that fear.
Because with us, we were
sleeping in the town, so.
Yeah, we were sleeping in Afghan compound on the opposite side of the mountain of Masamgar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're in their territory.
We were in the town, and we had like the mud walls,
Yep.
and we had like razor wire on the top of the wall. But that was literally all that separated us. So every night, like when I got up to take a pee in the middle of the night, I would walk in my flip flops. And I would have my handgun, and I would be like, "All right, well," and it's like you said,
Flip flops and a handgun.
Let's do this.
it's I mean, in your boxers, you got your gun. You like because I mean, it just
Yeah, you don't go anywhere without a weapon.
yeah no never
No.
never go anywhere without a gun on you. So I was lucky enough to get issued a handgun, which not every guy was.
No.
Because I was part of a vehicle crew, I got a handgun.
They didn't work half the time anyways.
No, well they were literally
3 shots, man.
They're the Browning high powers, which were manufactured in 1952.
Kind of like our.
Not an exaggeration.
I don't know if you
That's
get to experience.
literally-
Kind of like our grenades. It was a kind of a lottery. When you threw a grenade, you're like, "Is it gonna go today?" I don't
Sometimes,
know.
yeah. Yeah, it seems like the ones they send overseas had a much higher fail rate than the ones that we trained with.
Oh, I don't know. Our training grenades. We had a lot of downtime on our grenades.
No, yeah. Oh.
I remember the first time I threw a grenade.
The dud.
It was probably one of the most exciting things. There was so much in my training, like workup
Grenades
training.
are the best.
And I'm a baseball player.
They're so
Like
much fun.
I played ball my whole life. I like baseball. Like that's my sport. And I never understood why in video games, movies, they always like take out the grenade and then they loft it like this over their head, like it's a hook shot in basketball.
It's not like.
And they're not that heavy. It's almost about.
It's like a
little
softball.
It's a little heavier than a baseball, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a baseball player, so I'm on the grenade range, and one of the sergeants on the range, we had fun for like the first time. Said, "Okay, bonus points or whatever. This guy gets like a bonus rest or something if they hit this target with the grenade." So everyone's doing their little grenade toss thing, right? And then we get downtime because some of them would go off. They'd have to send an engineer team out there to blow them up in place. Then we'd get back to the range. So when I get it, I throw my grenade and I let it cook for a couple seconds. Cooking means like, because you pull the pin, you got like anywhere from 4 to 5 seconds till it's going to go or so, right? I forget the time
4.5 average.
Yeah, so
Give or take.
I'd pull it.
Jesus.
So I'd
Give or
like-
take.
so I'd pull it
It's
and
a mechanical
I'd wait a
fuse.
couple seconds, and the master corporal guy or sergeant with me, like, doing, throw the fucking grenade! They're yelling at you because they're terrified. They think you're freezing up, and really, I'm like, no, I just want to win that bet, man. And then I just like launch it like a baseball, right? And they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it like hits the guy and blows out like perfect. And they're like, all right, nice toss. Don't fucking do it again. Right? Classic Army, right? Yeah. That's the Army for you. They look,
you
they
can't
go,
win.
All right, you win this time. Don't fucking do it again, or you're done, right?
Grenades are a scary, fun thing.
No, grenades were never scary for me. What was scary was the Claymore mine.
Oh,
did you ever set those up?
Oh yeah.
Man, that was So in training,
Claymores.
only a few of us in training got to actually put the Claymore mine. That's the mine, and it actually says this side towards enemy.
It does say this side towards
Really?
enemy. You can look it up. In plastic, molded into the plastic of the.
So you know.
It's essentially like C4.
And it's arced.
in a U shape,
yeah.
and on the front of the C4 is thousands of ball bearings that are about 5 millimeters wide.
Something like that, yeah. So I was lucky enough. I got picked in training to actually do it in the training ranges of, I think we were in Wainwright, Alberta at the time. And I had never gotten nervous before anything, right? Never got nervous for any of my training. I was never shot a gun in my life, so even on the ranges, I was never nervous. I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm shooting a gun. This is so cool, right? Like, and then the Claymore mine thing, and I was fucking sweating instantly. My hands were getting balmy, and I'm like, oh my God, because I think only 6 of the 54 were chosen because they didn't have enough to just fucking blow up. And these are real claymores. We all did training stuff, like fake ones that don't blow up, and you run the wire, and then you push the clank device, and it, boom,
right.
Okay, next guy. Well, I got to set one of the real ones up, and I was like so pumped. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I was so scared. I was terrified. Even though they do everything safely as they can, and they make sure it's perfectly safe and everything's gonna be fine, but dude, it's an explosive device.
Yeah.
I wasn't even allowed to have like Nerf guns as a kid, right? So I'm sitting here on this range going, I felt like one of those guys in the movies with like they cut the red or the white wire, you're like, which one do I do? And I'm wiring it, and my hands are shaking, and the instructors are laughing at me. They're like, hey, just calm down, or else you're gonna have to have someone else come do this. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to fuck this up. So I got to do one in training. And then when I went overseas, we would use claymores in our defensive positions. When you're set up in an area, like a forward operating base or something like that, well, you set up some mines and stuff and trip flares and all kinds of cool stuff to let you know, okay, if the enemy's coming, we need to know, right? They can't sneak up on us. So I got to go out there to a minefield they had already set up. And they said, hey, we just need you to adjust a couple things, and we need you to move this mine here. And we need you to set this mine up. And I just remember thinking, yes, let's do this, right?
What?
Once again, I got out there, and it was one thing to walk through your own team's minefield. Like, you almost had a map of where to walk, where not to walk.
Right.
And as you're walking, you're seeing little lines of, like, just, I forget what the wiring's called, but it's just like a gray, silver, like, wire you would use anywhere for anything, and like a string almost. And I'm like, oh yeah, don't trip that. Okay. And you're walking over, and you got your partner with you, right? And then there's another guy, and they're, they got guns out in case anyone comes while you're there.
Yeah.
And here I am moving a mine, just picking up a live mine, setting it up, moving it over, tying it into the little spool thing it sets into, and I'm like, once again, sweat instantly, right? I mean, it was hot, but once again, but good thing I did the training, because at least I was like, as nervous. I was shaking a little, but not as much.
Like, so what sets those off?
Usually it's like a trip flare. It's like a trip line, right?
Okay.
So if you've seen any movie, it's just like that.
Yeah.
Literally, someone just walks, they hit that wire. As soon as they hit that trip, it pulls off of the mine, and then the mine just blows up, right? And then usually they're chained to a few other ones,
right?
And it's like a whole...
So set a few off, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course all the alarms and bells and whistles go off, and we know, oh shit, we're getting contact from that side. Guys with machine guns will generally turn and just start, as soon as they see anything, we'll just start lighting it up.
Well, that's the whole theory of minefields or mines or trip devices at all, is that it's always covered by machine guns, because machine guns are the most effective weapon in infantry type warfare, right?
And I don't know about your tour, but on our tour, every machine gun operator was legit crazy. Like, just loved their machine gun. Like, I don't know, our machine gunners were awesome, man. They loved what they did. Like some people go to work and they smile every day, and they're like, man, that guy really likes working at McDonald's. You're like, good for him, you know? Like, he really took craft in building me that Big Mac today. Yeah, machine gunners were just... They liked killing shit. Like, it didn't matter what it was. They just loved it, man. They You're like, hey, yeah, we need to just shoot, just a workout there. Yeah! They're like, woo! And you're like, dude, I just needed a few shots, not 300. Right? So they'll go through a box of ammo like nothing. So it's, they love their craft. I mean, they're good.
All right, guys. So we are at the end of the show. We thank you for coming in. This has been fucking such a good show for us. Yeah. And we're very honored to have you guys here. I know you said you hate when people say this, but for you guys to go do what you did, and it allows us the opportunity to sit here and do this show and be a couple of idiots just talking into microphones, and people are listening to it. It's because of guys like you that went over there, men and women both, that went over and did what they did. So to everybody out there, everybody past, current, former, future, wherever, all the Allied forces, everybody. So we appreciate the shit out of you guys. So thanks for coming in and doing this. So everybody listen, and all the dudes, here we go. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.